Hi everybody, I hope you're hearing us loud and clear, and welcome to this month's webinar. This is the tuning webinar that we hold every month. I'm Paul Busby and this is Simon White who's joining me. And if you've joined us before, and I should just quickly say, we don't actually of course know where you are in the world, so I'll say good morning, good afternoon and good evening. I hope you're hearing us loud and clear. If you joined us for the July session, you will know that we covered the Winol software, so that's EVC Winol software in some depth. And we gave a little tour of how that software works, the features and functions. And we also covered the AlienTech ECM software. We're going to stay on that theme today as we're going to move into the Magic StageX map writing software. And then we're going to move on to cover a piece of software called Swifttech. Perhaps not quite so well known outside of Europe, but Swifttech also has some really, really nice features. Yep. So we've got quite a fun-packed little session. If we run to plan, we'll be somewhere around an hour. I hope you've got that amount of time to spend with us. If you're watching us on YouTube later, that's absolutely wonderful, but I would please ask you to join us if you can on a live session, because you'll get more from it, because of course we have the live question session. And for all those of you who are live now, wherever you are, you will see somewhere here above us there's the ability to push a button and ask a question. We are live here. We're opening ourselves up to making all sorts of ridiculous mistakes live on air, and of course that's part of the fun of it. But we do want your questions. It is a live session, so if we're going through the software and you've got questions, or even if your questions aren't quite related, we'll try and cover them. If they're completely right of field, we might just bring them into another session or try and cover them at the end of today's session. But we do want your feedback, we do want your questions. At the end of today's session, I'm going to particularly ask what you would like to see now. We have some cunning ideas, but of course we would really like to hear from you. Yeah. Simon, any initial words from yourself before we crack into the software?
Not really, no. For those that joined our previous webinar, it's going to be a very similar format. For those that are new to the webinar, we'll just sort of give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to be covering today. As Paul's mentioned, it's going to be the Magic Motorsport StageX software. We're going to be taking you through the program itself, showing you how really easy it is to use, and some of the cool functions and features in the software. We'll cover a wide range of those today, and then we'll do a similar process in Swifttech. So we're actually going to use the same file as a back-to-back sort of comparison, so you can see the strengths of both the pieces of software and where they might work for you in your sort of tuning field in particular.
And is this the same file that we used in last month's ECM session?
We've actually got a BMW diesel file this time, yes.
Okay, perfect.
So it's a similar sort of format. It shows the strengths of the systems on there, but just to spice it up with a slightly different file from last time.
Okay, well, let's not delay anymore. Let's dive straight in. We're starting with StageX, are we?
We're going to start with the StageX software, yes.
Okay.
So for those that you aren't familiar with StageX, StageX is a browser-based software. So there's already a positive there. You don't have to install any complex software, no dongles or anything. I was going to say,
no dongles, no security codes to lose, or bits and pieces to lose.
All you have to do is remember your login credentials, and you can access it wherever you are.
I'm going to stop right there, Simon, because I know one of the questions, can I run this software on multiple PCs?
Yes.
Okay, because it's web-based.
It's web-based, yes.
Okay, so you buy one license, and if you've got a number of users within your business, they can log in.
Now that is a slightly different question. So multiple computers, you can run on multiple computers. It is designed as a one-user license at a time.
Right.
However, you can sometimes have multiple people on it at the same time. It's actually more limited to the number of projects you do a day. So whilst you can have simultaneous computers on there, it's really designed as a single user license.
Fine.
The advantage is, of course, you can add additional licenses on for additional users. So if you're running a file service and you've got a number of people in your team producing files using the StageX software, it's probably ideal to get a license for each of them.
Yeah.
Because
they get projects allowed.
Projects allowed, yes. And for the standard sort of plus license, it's 10 projects a day. And we can provide more details and information after the course, but there is a higher level of license that allows you more projects per day.
As always, I've interrupted you already.
It's absolutely fine. But as a sole sort of file writer, if you're working on your own, making your own files per day and working directly on customers' cars, one license would probably work absolutely fine. So we can see the software on the screen. We're not going to go into sort of the subscription management and how we get things like coins. We'll explain what they're used for, but we're not going to go into that level of detail in here. We're going to jump into a project and show you the features and functions and the power of the software. So if you're looking at those extra pieces of information, we do have them online on our Remap 101 StageX course that takes you through in depth everything inside the software. So similar to the WinOS software that you may have seen in our previous webinar, there's a big database that runs behind the StageX software and the Swifttech one that we'll see a little bit later on. Now, best practice is, of course, when you're starting a new project, always fill out all of the information that you have for the vehicle. So the license number, the VIN, the make, the model, and everything you've got for that vehicle. Fill out the boxes on the screen because it's best practice for good database management. If you come back to this project in 6 months' time, you'd like to know what model of vehicle it was and not just red car, because that's what you save the file as. For today, of course, with live TV, live webinar, we're going to jump through a couple of those steps so we can get into looking at the file straight away. So we're going to go to the select file option, and I'm going to drag and drop our file straight into it. So we have our BMW EDC 17 file that we're going to put into the StageX software.
You haven't uploaded it, you've literally just copied it straight over.
Drag and drop, really, really easy. You can go and browse through your folders, but drag and drop, nice and easy to use. And this will actually show, you shouldn't do this way with the database, of course, fill out the details, but it will show how powerful the software is because I've not filled out any information.
You've not told it anything at all?
Nope, I've just given it a file. When I hit create project, it's then going to look through that data inside of the file I've just uploaded, and you'll see on the right hand side of the screen, DTCs have been detected, solutions have been updated, and map packs have been updated.
Okay.
So without me giving it any information, we can see on the left hand side of the screen, it's already providing us with the potential of 9 solutions. We'll look at that in a moment. I have the DTC option, and down here I've got map packs. I'll just click on that one to expand the column for a second. And this is very similar to what we spoke about with the ECM drivers. Yeah. This is the list of the maps, the folders for those maps that you can get in and modify.
Nicely named, correctly laid out.
Really simply named for us as tuners to get into. Broken down, I'm just going to activate that now so we can get into that map pack, and we can see that's instantly active for us. We can go into something like our engine torque requests, and if we change to our 2D view, so we've got very similar options to WinOLS on here as well. We can change the data view, we can change the sign function, high, low, all those sort of things that we covered in the previous webinar. So I can see I've got a driver's wish torque map, that's my torque request map. And with a couple of clicks, I'm straight into the map, ready to go and edit. Nice. Now, of course, we've got some background work we would have to do for a stage 1 tune or economy tune. We'd need to do our investigation, understand what the car's currently doing, the standard outputs, the limitations, and the potential within the ECU. But you can see how quickly and easily, literally in seconds, without giving it any information, other than just providing a file, we're straight into the map data and we can begin any of our editing.
This looks almost like a little bit of a hybrid of ECM and WinOLS, doesn't it?
It really does feel like that, yeah. It sits almost perfectly between the two. So it's given us the map packs, which is a terminology from, of course, WinOLS you'll be familiar with. It often gives a little bit more data than you'll find in some of the ECM drivers, and does support more sort of stage 2 and even stage 3 tuning in some cases built into the standard driver.
And that's because the driver is bigger, it's deeper?
The driver is a little bit more detailed, yes. There's more maps, there's more options in there. You'll see on some vehicles, especially with the gasoline vehicles, think like a very popular vehicle, Mark 8 Golf R, or the GTI, the CMOS 19 ECU, you'll have pops and bangs map tables in the actual map pack itself.
Which is something you don't tend to see in other softwares.
Correct. A lot of times, and it will have solutions in here, which we'll look at in a moment. Got the gasoline for pops and bangs. Yeah. But with the maps being included in the map pack, it means you can go in there and you can customize them. You want it a bit louder, you want it a little bit quieter.
So you've got a ready push button type solution, and I know you said you're talking about it, but you can also edit it yourself.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds really
powerful piece of software, yeah. So not only does it give you the ability to tune, but it's actually supporting you. If you're not comfortable with that, you've got the one-click solution to add some of those features on there. So let's look at some of those solutions. Click on the Solutions tab, and we can see, for this particular vehicle, obviously being a diesel, you haven't got pops and bangs on there, but it does offer us options such as throttle valve actuator delete, we have our swirl actuator delete, lambda sensors, readiness, start-stop, and DPF on there, as well as obviously EGR down at the bottom.
And these are push-button solutions. Am I right in saying that? So you've loaded your file and you can push this button, these solutions then just happen?
Yes. Now there is a cost associated to these.
Right, okay.
This is where you'll see things like the coins down at the bottom of the screen here. So that's 32 red coins. The coins are purchased directly through Magic Motorsport, through your account on Magic Motorsport. But you'll notice a couple of them are being offered for free. So there's actually no charge on this to use the DPF deactivation obviously for your off-road motorsport use, and of course it is important to check your regulations for any vehicles you're working on in your country to make sure it adheres to those rules.
Have to say again, of course, DPF deletion, we all understand, is illegal in some countries and particularly across Europe unless the vehicle is being used off-road. It's great that the software has these solutions, but as always we have to say the caveat is check your local legislation where you are based and make sure the tuning you are doing you're happy with and it's correct to go ahead with. So that's really, so you've bought your StageX, and on this particular vehicle, even if you don't know how to write a map particularly, you can push a button and turn off DPF completely free of charge.
Yes.
Now if we've got a solution here that they are asking you to pay for example start stop, and you don't want to pay for it, would I be correct in saying you can then go into the map if you know how and edit it yourself free of charge?
Yes.
So this is saving time.
It saves
a little
time,
cost to it.
Something like, let's say, like the DPF, those maps aren't particularly going to be listed in the map pack. The map pack is geared towards tuning. Yeah, makes sense. Your stage 1, as I mentioned before, into your sort of stage 2, and
very similar to ECM, predominantly set up to make
a little bit stronger in terms of the map packs, but it is geared towards tuning. Now, of course, in the same way you can with ECM, you can go directly into the file itself. So if we just close this window, and we'll close this map that's open here. If you know where the data is that you need to go and modify, then you could go into the actual, if you like, the raw hex dump, the 2D image of the file, and go and modify those start-stop maps if you know where they're based. And you can do that by creating your own user maps. So in a very similar way to ECM with the driver maker function, you can customize your driver for that particular vehicle. You can do the same thing in StageX. It's a very powerful tool, and it's similar to Winol's in the way that you can add your own custom maps into a project.
Very nice.
So yes, it's always key to pay attention to the various offers each month, because you'll find with Magic Motorsport in the StageX software, there might be a promotion on a certain vehicle type or ECU type that gives you either a discount or a free solution for that particular month.
Nice. If I've got a map that I've already done and I've paid for the solution before, can I load it and reuse it?
It's a very good question, and it's not what StageX is designed for. Right. It's designed for working on a vehicle at a time, not for comparing different projects and copying data across. Now, this is where we lean into some of the advantages of different pieces of software. WinOLS, of course, or Winols as we call it, has that key sort of core capability in there where you can duplicate one project onto another, take tuning from one vehicle you've developed and put it on the next one of the same ECU type, similar software. ECM Titanium, of course, has that function as well with the multiple projects.
I was about to say, I think in the last session when we looked at ECM, there was the ability to compare files. So are you saying actually StageX hasn't got that same functionality?
No, not for that. It's got strengths in other places, but it's not geared up or designed really for sort of trying to compare different projects against each other in that way.
And another thing, I'm going to compare it to what we did last time. We talked about finding a map location in ECM and transferring it to Windows and vice versa. Does that work on StageX?
I knew you'd latch onto that because that's a really, really powerful thing of this software. And it's one of the things we always promote through our training academy, through Remap 101 and our in-house courses. Use all the pieces of software you have access to help tune the vehicle. And as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here with our driver's wish for torque map, this first one I was looking at, we have the map address on the left-hand side. Right. So again, this can then be used if you're using WinOLS to build your map pack inside of WinOLS. There is also, it takes it a step further, there is an integration you can activate within StageX to link it to your Winols.
Oh, deliberately for Winols specifically, not just a general export. But
and you can, obviously for a fee for each one, but you can actually take the map pack that exists here and it will import it into WinOLS for you.
That's quite powerful, because ECM had some nice features like that.
Yeah.
I don't think actually like a purposely built link for it.
No.
Wow. Okay.
Really, really, really powerful feature.
I guess it does show you that there is no one solution when it comes to software. It really is, and I know we said this last time, but this reinforces that message. It is normally a case of running a number of different software. There is no one software that makes everything easy for you.
Yeah,
I love the features here where you've got what they call the solutions too. Yeah. That's really useful.
So that is probably the biggest thing to take away from any sort of tuning webinar such as this. There isn't a one-size-fits-all piece of software that will do everything you want. Yes, Winols is the sort of developer level piece of software, but when you come across a vehicle you've not necessarily tuned before, or you haven't got the specific map data, you're looking at the time you need to spend on it to develop it. Well, actually, you've got a StageX piece of software here that has got the map pack pre-built for you. Nice. You would go and use that as your sort of segue into getting the car tuned quicker and more efficiently for your customer, of course, as well.
We've got a little bit more time to cover on StageX, Simon. And whilst you're watching, if anyone's got any questions specifically about StageX, if you've bought it and you've got some frustrations, or if you bought it, you're loving it, or you've got any questions about considering buying it, do fire them in now. We're here to try and help. But whilst we pull any questions that are coming in, Simon, any other golden features we need to cover here that people would want to see?
I've got to talk about the elephant in the room, DTC codes.
Okay.
So let's click on the DTC codes. And again, this is a free module, if you like, free function within StageX when you have an active license. It's going to activate the DTCs, and it has searched through the ECU file. It has identified not only the DTC lookup tables, so that's the table that says each of the P codes or the fault codes, but it's also gone through the ECU file and found what's called the mask tables and the error class table. So without going into too much sort of boring detail here, that's how it handles those errors. One table says what is the fault code I'm meant to be putting on the screen. The others are saying when do I activate and what condition is created by that.
Right.
So it's done that for you, and all we have to do then is choose which codes we wish to remove. So you've got them under manufacturer codes. So that might be when you put your diagnostic tool in, it gives you a code and it says manufacturer specific code. Or you've got your KWP hex codes, which is effectively your generic P codes. Yeah. So if you've got a fault code of a fault code reader of a car in your workshop, you can literally enter that code in there and it will find it? We'll type one in. P2002, a typical DPF code, DPF efficiency code. It's found it, highlighted it in green over here. We can click remove and that will just remove that code from the file.
That is an immensely powerful function.
Yes, massively.
Is that unique? I mean, I don't think ECM has that. Windows, of course, definitely does not have that. Is that unique, or other softwares have that?
Well, funny enough, we're going to look at a piece of software called Swifttech shortly after this. And that does have that function as well, yes.
Because that is a really, really powerful function.
It is. I know a lot of tuners will use StageX purely for this function, if nothing else, because again, it speeds up that process. They're not having to identify those map tables themselves, get the position, the size of them. And DTC tables, just to be clear, are huge tables.
Yeah.
They're technically individual bytes of data, but without, again, going into too much detail, some of the map tables we create might be 1,500 points of data long. When we compare it to a driver's wish or a torque limiter might be 20 bytes of data.
Yeah.
So they are really big pieces of data, and if your alignment is off slightly, you might think you've deactivated one code and you've actually turned something else off that was really crucial to the engine running. So it's a really, really powerful piece of software that supports you as a tuner, whether you're new to tuning and file writing or you've been doing this for 20 years. If this helps speed up the process and gives you that peace of mind that the software has deleted it correctly for you, then why wouldn't you use it?
Talking about elephants in the room, how accurate is it though when you're asking it to do this? Because I know there are some softwares that claim to do deletes and you end up seeing the car 3 or 4 times because it didn't actually do the job completely. It did 1 out of 3 codes and things like that. Hit and miss rates, how is it?
Oh, it's up in the high 90 percentile. So 95+% of the time. It's not the case that it's missed one. It could be a byte is slightly out. And that, of course, is where we talk about, again, say in the room, you have to test and verify and validate any tuning you're doing on a vehicle. Whether you've run it through a well-known piece of software like StageX or Swiftttech, or you've made the file yourself in Windows or an ECM, you have to check and validate that file. If it's not one you've done before, you've done the development work on, signed it off, and you know it's happy and good to go every time, if it's a new change you're making to a vehicle, you have to test and validate, whether data logs, whether on the dyno, like in our workshop, we're checking all of these changes to make sure it has had the correct impact on the vehicle. And it's one of those things that can sometimes be overlooked. I'll just turn a fault code off quickly in the piece of software, double check on the car, plug back in afterwards, check that system for the diagnostics to see if that code's coming back up.
Very nice. Okay. I'm just going to check. Do we have any questions in at this time? No? Everybody's happy? Well, that's a good thing. Simon, a couple more minutes on StageX if we need it before we're going to move on.
Yeah, so another similar thing that's quite nice in here, when you found the fault code, it'll actually show you the code highlighted in the red box. We can actually select multiple codes just by highlighting and dragging across on them. So if we want to select rows of data, if we know it is risky, yes. But of course, we know our DPF code, for example, starts in the 2000s. So if we have multiple codes that have come up, we know that 2002, 2008, 2009 are all related. So you're not having to type them in one by one.
But use with caution.
Use with caution. I will give a little Easter egg away of what we actually do is we collect DTC codes. And we'll actually keep that as a database file. And once you've got that, as long as you comma separate, so I'll just show you on the screen here, as long as you separate the codes with a comma, a space, and then the next code, you can take that, whether it's in a notepad file or Excel, copy your DPF codes and put them in, and you can actually start to build a catalogue, if you like, of those codes.
I see. So this is now out of the software.
Out of the software.
You've got a database of the codes that you've known and tested, and you know it does the job.
Yeah.
And then when you get that same file in the before, you rather than just dive straight into the software, you find your notes.
Yep.
You've got ready-made.
So right, you're not having to keep a catalogue of a Honda Accord 2.2 diesel. Oh, it has this specific codes and put it in.
Yeah.
You keep a collective. Here are my EGRs. Here are my DPFs, my AdBlues, and so on, and you build on that each time you see a new code come up from a new manufacturer. Okay. So it's a very, very handy piece of software on there.
And not wanting too much to blow our own trumpets, these aren't sales sessions, but I am writing saying you have StageX training online.
And we also do training online,
classroom courses
classroom-based as well, yes.
Okay, covering both diesel, gasoline.
Yep. Okay,
but you can actually go onto the Remap 101 website and specifically take a StageX course online.
You can, yes.
I'm writing saying 1 hour bite-sized chunks.
They are 1 hour bite-sized chunks. So a typical course of something like diesel tuning on StageX is broken down into what we call 4 modules. Each module is an hour long, and each of those hour-long modules is broken down into 15-minute lessons. So you haven't got to sit there for a full hour trying to record every piece of information we're giving you. It's broken down into nice bite-sized easy chunks, 15 minutes at a time, with a nice quiz at the end to confirm all the learning points that we've gone across.
Very nice, very nice. Oh, we have just got a question in.
So a question from Omar. What's the difference between KWP and the manufacturer code?
KWP effectively is like your generic fault codes, so your universally accepted fault codes. If you plug into a car, you should have, on a BMW, let's say for an EGR fault, it should bring up the same P code as you do on a Mercedes and a Nissan and so on. It's that sort of...
now, is that a manufacturer's code? Or?
That is a universally agreed upon P code the manufacturers use.
Yeah.
The manufacturer-specific codes are their own code. So a BMW manufacturer-specific code you will not find on a Jaguar or on a Mercedes, for example.
Right. So some manufacturers have their own codes and they also use generic.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's only so many things that have to be allowed. It's a bit like the right to repair. They have to provide a standardised sort of access to diagnostic codes, so you can take it to your independent garage to get repairs done. However, there are certain things that will be kept as a manufacturer-specific code.
They can go above and beyond, but they can't do less.
Yes, it may be a little bit deeper in there. So you might get your generic P code at the start, and it will point you in the general direction of an issue, but the manufacturer-specific code will point the manufacturer, the dealer, deeper into the car to actually find that issue.
Nice question, Omar. Thank you very much.
Just to add on top of that a little bit more information, there are different types of codes that you'll come across on different vehicles. One of them we will actually highlight when we look at Swifttech, which is to do with heavy commercial codes.
Okay.
There's a very big difference between your normal customer cars and light commercial vehicles like a Sprinter van or a Transit. They have generic P codes, if you like, and some manufacturer codes. As soon as you move into things like agricultural vehicles and so plant machinery, tractors and so on, and heavy commercial vehicles like your big rigs pulling 40, 50 tons, they don't use the same standardised format. Right. So a John Deere will use its own fault code system, a Cummins engine will use its own, and they tend to use very different class handling
just like they use different OBD ports as well.
Very much so, yeah.
The cars,
there's the standardisation across it, whereas there is with the normal sort of retail cars.
We like standardisation. It makes the job a lot easier.
It does, yes.
Okay, getting a little tight for time on StageX before we move on. Any must-have information that we need on top that we haven't already covered?
No, I think we've covered everything across on there. One of the things I'll point out, if you don't find a map pack, again, you can request this in a similar way with ECM Titanium. You're not limited to just what it finds. You can submit that on a support ticket to Magic, and they'll often update the map pack, giving you a brand new one, or add additional maps in if you're looking for something specific.
So if you want start, stop, and it's not in there, they might be able to add it for you. Is there a fee for that, or is there a limit of how many you can request?
No, all included in the monthly license.
Okay, and the backup and support from Magic in general?
Is pretty quick. Actually was running a course recently in Austin at Magic Motorsports headquarters in the USA, and I submitted a ticket from an anonymous account, so they didn't know it was me there live doing that, and they actually created a brand new map pack for one of the guys on the course for a vehicle that wasn't previously in the system. So they created that in about 45 minutes. Now that isn't to say everyone will be done in that time, but they created a brand new map pack for a vehicle that wasn't previously auto-identifying.
And I know some people are often interested, where are Magic Motorsport based?
They are based in Sicily.
Okay. Oh, nice place to go and visit.
Yes.
Okay, I think it's interesting sometimes. Oh, we've got another question just coming before we move on. Gavin, question master, what do we have?
I've got quite a few before just coming.
Oh, they've all suddenly arrived at once. That's fine. Nice and loud, Gavin, so we can hear you.
This is one. Apologies on the name. Is it possible to remove with StageX emergency mode that comes after specific DTC, for example, P0299 turbocharger underboost?
So can you remove a specific code? And they want to know about that actual specific code.
So that code...
Well, use that one as an example.
Right. So there's probably a little bit more to dig into and sort of unpack with that, but we'll keep it sort of relatively straightforward to begin with. Removing of the code, yes, but removing of a code doesn't cure the issue. It doesn't get rid of the cause of that P code in the first place, or the resulting drivability impact that may have. So P0299 typically is underboost code, if I recall correctly, or to do with your charge system. If you've got an underboost, it could be a fault with a turbo or even a hole in a pipe. Deleting the code is only getting rid of the code that's saying, hey, this is the thing that isn't working properly. It's not going to patch that hole in the
and physically make the car drive properly.
Yeah, okay. You're still going to have that condition, but now you're going to have a problem where you don't know what the fault is. So you've got no faults on, but the car now doesn't drive any better.
And I guess that is a danger of fault code removal. It's not a fix necessarily. It's a fix if you've removed a component because you want to remove a component.
Correct, yes.
But if you just turn the code off and it causes a physical problem with the vehicle, taking the code off now means you haven't got a code to diagnose why the vehicle's still misbehaving.
Correct, yes.
So you can get yourself in a bit of a pickle. And I know we often see that with cars that are presented here where the car appears to have no fault codes on it, but it clearly isn't driving right. Put the original file back on and it dashboard lights up like a Christmas tree.
Yes.
Gavin, another question.
Yeah, related. This is Nick. What will happen if the car comes with a blue problem, but it's deleted DTC for DPF or other fault codes before SCR?
So just to go over that one again. So if a car arrives and it's got AdBlue problems, but it's previously had DPF EGR removed. It's a really good question, and it's something we do actually come across quite often.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different avenues you can go down with that. Is there actually an issue with the AdBlue system, or has the previous removals done by another tuner missed something, or it's caused a knock-on effect with the AdBlue system? If it is just an issue with the AdBlue system, then you could treat it as a standalone. We're just going to delete that, deactivate that system. But this is where it's important to really dig into the file and understand what's been done, what change has been made previously. And then we're really starting to move a little bit away from things like StageX and into your WinOLS software, where you want to compare against similar original files to see those changes that have been made. And actually, you want to probably remove them and undo them, and then check the vehicle again and see what other issues and underlying problems are coming up on the vehicle.
My gut instinct, whenever I see a case of that, let's put an original file on it.
Yeah.
Let's do a few miles, run some diagnostics
to stock, and see where it's at.
And if it's been tuned somewhere else, let's get it back to stock, do some miles, run some diagnostics, and start the whole tuning process again properly, rather than trying to patch someone else's work that may or may not be now causing further problems.
One final question at the moment. This is from Thomas. What happens if you paste in an off-board CSV list of DTCs that include a values that does not exist in this specific map?
That's really easy. Let me show you. So we've got our first codes here on the screen. We can see we've got 0, 1, 03, 04, 05, 16. So if I were to put in 01, comma, space, 003, sorry, remove the space, and let's put in 0005 as the next one, and I'm going to do one more 0016. So I've put 4 codes in there, only 3 exist in the file.
Just tells you on the right hand side which one it is.
Tells you on the right hand side, only these 3 are found.
Can't remove something that's not there.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's actually quite safe, and that's one of the reasons that we do that. We build that catalogue of those codes together, because it makes it a lot easier than trying to have to reference specific vehicles for, is that one here, is it not? put the whole sort
of... Is there a risk though that code isn't found, could be needed but under another code?
Well, yeah, this is where you have things like, as I said, the KWP, your generic P codes, and then you've got your manufacturer hex codes. So in the same place for your manufacturer hex codes, a recommendation would be to build up a database, a knowledge base, if you will, of those codes that you've come across on those vehicles. You've got a BMW specific manufacturer code, catalog it, store it as your EGR or DPF code. Ideally the description of what it is, and you start to build up that repertoire to make life much easier as a tuner in the future. And this is what it's all about. We're trying to make our world as tuners easier and more sort of efficient when it comes to working on cars.
Loving the question, guys. Please do keep them in. We're just hitting 1/2 on the hour, so we're going to crack on, if that's okay, onto the next piece of software.
Yeah, brilliant.
Good.
So let's open Swiftec.
Swiftec.
So a little bit different to StageX, as all these softwares are a little bit different to look at to begin with, but a very similar process on here. We don't have the drag and drop. We are going to have to go and open our file.
Yeah, and upload it. Oh, that's very stressful.
So there's a few more options you're going to see on here. Now, in reality, you're not going to have to make any changes to most of these things. It's to encompass older files, so things like 16-bit files split into 2. So you'll see things like that in ECM Titanium, where it supports much older ECUs, back from the chip tuning days.
But if I'm new to this and I'm hit with that list, I'm immediately thinking, do I tick these or do I not? How do I know what to do?
Have training. Simplest way. No, there's some basics on there. You can see what we're doing here. We're hitting the standard 8/16-bit. If you're unsure on there, of course, there is the support from Swifttech as well. You can raise a ticket depending on the account and level you've got for your subscription. Depends on how quick they come back to you. But I'd always recommend anything, whether it's StageX, which is really easy to use in ECM Titanium, attend one of our courses, whether you can come in-house or attend one of our online courses. It's the best way to understand the right way to use the software. And
there are courses that start from the very, very basics of how to load a file, how to get a file into the software.
We cater to all needs. So again, whether you've been tuning for 20 years or you're brand new to tuning and it's a career change, we can accommodate all sort of user bases and backgrounds and knowledge bases.
Fine.
But the typical one you're going to use is the standard 8/16-bit. And that's from most cars from 2004 onwards, which covers the majority of normal sort of remapping.
Sure.
That makes sense. So it's going to say there's similar files in the database. We're going to treat this as a brand new one, of course.
And we're using our exact same diesel file.
The exact same file, yes.
Magic Motorsport.
So again, we've told it nothing. We've just selected a file, and it's identified that this is from a BMW, Bosch ECU. It's even pulled out some of our hardware and software numbers.
Okay.
So in a similar way to StageX, it's looking through and hunting through the file for those key markers and indicators. Again, to save some time, we're not going to fill out everything on the database here, but best practice, the more information you put in, the better your database is going to be in the long run.
Sure.
So fill out all the boxes. And press OK. And it's just going to go through the process. Now, this is installed on the computer, and it has a security dongle with it.
Okay.
So this is effectively not locked to the computer, but it is locked to that security dongle.
So you are chained to a dongle. You can take the dongle anywhere in the world that you want to be.
Providing you've got it installed on that computer, and you can plug in. Yeah. When you open the software, it uses your login credentials, of course, but it needs that security dongle. So it looks very different to StageX, to ECM as well. Actually, quite close to WinOLS in terms of how it first looks. We've just got it
immediately open on the 2D graph.
2D graphic, yeah. So what we're going to do at the top of the screen is we're going to click on the Map View button.
That's better.
And it brings up something similar to ECM Titanium and StageX. We're in a nice, comfortable place now.
Yeah,
we've got map names.
Maps.
We've got tables on the screen. But you'll notice we have a map pack.
It's a big map pack.
Yeah, it's gone through and identified a number of maps on there. So we have boost pressure maps, torque maps, advanced maps, geometry maps, and so on. So a lot of different maps have been automatically identified through the software, which is very, very helpful as a tuner. And we've got our driver's wish here, which is that same map I opened in StageX.
Yeah.
Different software, it's an important thing to point out, will name the map tables slightly differently. They have their own naming conventions.
Yeah.
So what we will call a torque request map is often referred to as a driver's wish map inside of StageX, or driver requested torque in ECM Titanium, and so on. They've all got their nuances, but it's the same map data.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can see all of our maps down here. We can also look at our 3D views and 2D as we can in StageX and ECM Titanium. But the big difference with Swifttech to the other software we looked at, which is StageX, is that all of our additional functions are at the end of the tuning process.
Okay.
So with StageX, we could look at what options are available, our DPF,
You can
what
dip
DTCs.
in and out.
In and out, you could do a bit of tuning, turn a couple of DTCs off,
and flick back. Yeah,
carry on
saw
back
that.
with your tuning. Swifttech is do your tuning first. All of your extra functions and solutions are when you press the save button.
What if you don't know if you need that or not, or or the software even offers that?
So there is something you can do which is actually on their website. You can see on the various modules, and we'll see that in a second because there's a shortcut to the software for it.
Right.
It will list out all of the function modules, so EGR or DPF, for example, and you can look at the manufacturers and the ECUs that are supported for that function.
But you've almost got to do that before you get into the map.
Yeah, it is one of those things, and it is with any sort of tuning. You're not going to take a read from a car and look at it and go, what am I tuning? Am I doing performance, economy, or removals? You've probably got an idea of what you're going to require on that car from the inquiry in the first place, most of the time, until you get one of those lovely surprise ones that appears that's running poorly and has no lights on. When you put it back to stock, you know, oh, it's EGR, it's DPF and DTCs.
It feels a little bit to me, you're in the supermarket, you need to buy some baked beans, you can't find the baked bean aisle, and they'll only tell you after you've been through the checkout.
Yes.
Oh, it's back there. But I'm at the checkout now. Yeah, but it's back there.
It does rely on the tuner to look at those options on their website and things beforehand to see what's available.
Well, you know, that's the point of these sessions, that we give you some of the nuances, if it were, about the software. So it's a bit quirky, but fine.
In terms of tuning on these, we've got very similar functions to the StageX software and WinOS and ECM Titanium. They're all very similar in this regard. If we were to go back maybe 5 years, there was actually quite a level change, sort of difference, if you like, between them.
Right.
Some software would enable you interpolation functions, so those floor sums change in different corners of the tables, as we can see here with interpolation. So we could make scaled or staged modifications in the map tables. Others just gave you plus and minus, so you could add a block percent or take a block percent away, or edit the value, but that was it. They didn't offer that smooth scalability.
I usually call this a floor sum, is that correct?
Yeah, again, different terminology, different software. So that is back to the DimSport days when you're looking at DimSport race software. It's an interpolation.
Feeling old.
They all call it different things. WinOls, for example, calls it change by edit.
Yeah.
But it is that same function. It enables you to make changes in different corners. StageX has exactly the same functionality on there. As I said, they're all very, very similar.
So they're kind of all sort of not merged, because that's completely incorrect, but they've become similar.
Yeah. I think a fair way to look at it is the market leader, which is WinOS, in regards to the software. In terms of capability, you can do anything you want, providing you can find and locate the map you want to change. It had all of these options and settings almost right from the get-go for many, many years. All the other softwares have now really sort of stepped up their game. All the tuning suites have stepped up in their
that's a good thing, isn't it? You know, the better and deeper they become, and in some ways more similar they become in some ways, is they're easy to switch between them.
That's it, yeah. As a tuner, it is so much easier now to just jump into Swifttech and make a change. And it might be Swifttech has a map pack for a Toyota, for example, that StageX doesn't. Or ECM, we're going back to the previous webinar, but ECM very strong with motorbikes. Yeah. You've got a motorbike to tune. Oh, I'm going to pick ECM because that's the quickest and easiest piece of software to do.
But it's not impossibly difficult to leap from one software to another. It used to be quite complicated. I mean, I do remember those days.
It was almost like different languages you'd have to speak to know them. They're now all talking a very similar language, similar functions, right clicks and so on. So very handy piece of software here. As I said, you've got your map pack down the side, and you can, with the same as the other softwares, ECM and StageX, if there's a particular map that isn't in the map pack that you want to add, if you go and find it, you can create your own custom map packs. So again, designed based on that one particular file that you're working on, you can add custom maps into there.
Is that quite a new feature for Swifttech? Because I don't remember seeing that before.
No, it's actually been around for quite a while, but when you start to get into that sort of tuning requirement of adding brand new maps in, or adding additional maps and functions that aren't within the map pack, that's really when you start to again move towards WinOS. So then you've got that file that you can then use as a reference for multiple vehicles that come through in the future.
Fine.
So yes, it has the function, but a lot of people will jump into WinOS to use that specific feature at that point.
Now, not being a negative, trying to look for the positive in this, if they are all now quite similar, and you know, we're not here to sell any specific software or endorse any specific software, what is the advantage of, well, let's stay on Swifttech, what is the advantage of Swiftttech? If it's quite similar to Magic and it's quite similar to ECM, what is the advantage of this software?
It's really on this one, obviously of course the drivers and the map packs that are found in there, but it's the additional functions.
Okay.
I think it's fair to say when you look at the different pieces of software that offer tuning capabilities as well as additional functions like deletes and removals and deactivations, Swifttech has the most comprehensive list.
Right. So over and above just tuning, it has a deeper list of things, removals and additional functions. Okay.
So let's take a quick look at that now. Actually, let's press the save.
Although you've got to wait till you get to the checkout to see it.
Yes, we'll go to the checkout to see what's in the shop. So we're going to move past the Checksum message on there. Those that are familiar with Checksum, most mainstream tuning tools now do the checksum automatically for you. That's the sort of the balances and checks, make sure the data integrity is good. If you've got a Cares, a Magic, auto tuner, they're all doing the checksum for you automatically. So we're going to continue, and you can see on the screen now we have quite a large list of functions.
Yeah.
If we can compare against the StageX software there are more options available on here, such as sports display calibration. So that rescales the display on the dashboard. If everyone's driven a BMW or seen them online, you've got the little power meter, how much kilowatts and newton meters you're producing. You can actually hit this button and it will automatically scale that to a higher value. So when you've tuned the vehicle, it doesn't sit at the 400 newton meters all the time. It will now show that extra 80 or 100 newton meters you've given the car.
I thought it was just going to exaggerate it to make your ego feel better. I'm running 100 brake horsepower, but I'm going to tell you doing 150 brake horsepower.
Just put an extra zero on the end of all the numbers.
So that actually rescales it. That's
things as well. It may seem like quite a basic change to make, but it can be quite complex doing things like speed limiters.
Oh yeah.
There can be multiple maps that need to be modified in an ECU. Some of them can be factors, correction maps, not just this many kilometers an hour or this many miles per hour. And some ECUs might have a combination of all of them. So you've got a speed limiter function that you can tick.
Tick button, job
tick
done.
Button, yeah.
Is that tick button removed? What if I want to move it to, is it gone? Or what if I want to move it to somewhere else?
That's a good question, something we get asked often. It's not going to remove a speed limiter, it's going to raise it.
Right.
So the speed limiter still exists as a map table.
Because you can't
just
physically
puts it to
remove
a higher
it.
value. Yeah.
So when I tick that, what am I moving it to?
Well, the beautiful thing is when you tick that, save the file, you can bring it back in as a modification if you need to, or don't export it and you can actually go to the specific change and see what it's modified.
Okay.
So this save function is saving as we are at the moment. We've done no modifications, we're just ticking some options, but then we can go back through the 2D or the hex dump and see what values were changed.
Okay, nice.
So let's say a speed limiter wasn't included in the map pack, you could tick the box, press save, go and find that difference in the 2D and add your custom map into your map pack.
Okay, very nice feature. Is there anything else really here that's quite unusual that that Swifttech gives you the option to take out that many other softwares don't?
You've got things like popcorn activation.
Okay.
So that is your pops and bangs for a diesel.
Yeah.
A little bit different, of course. It's not on the rundown. This is like a hard limit, if you like.
Bang, bang, bang at the end.
Bang, bang,
Full
bang at the
revs.
end instead of bang, bang, bang when you let go of the throttle.
And if this was a gasoline vehicle, that would have pops and bangs to add?
That would be pops and bangs, yes. And you can see on the screen, hopefully it's coming out, the colours on there. The ones that are highlighted in white are the features that are available for this ECU.
Yeah.
The ones that are greyed out,
obviously
not available, but you can see things like burbles activation for a gasoline.
Yeah.
We can see GPF, OPF removal, so the gasoline equivalent of a DPF
would be there. And these are all, again, just tick boxes.
Tick boxes.
Very, very powerful tuning. To be able to just deactivate them with the tick box. I mean, writing those maps would be, if it's a new map to you, minutes and minutes. And when I'm 15, 20 minutes plus to find each of those.
Completely, yeah. And there are some extra functions in there when you've got things like launch control, so you can activate launch control, raise that launch control initiation point.
So I'm really thinking if you are fairly new to map writing, or you're, in fact, even if you're very busy map writing, this must be a very fast, easy solution to use.
Yeah. And
does appear to offer, from my amateur eyes, quite a lot of functions that aren't in other softwares.
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
And of course, once you've done this once, you can then go back and refer to it. And of course, if you've got WinOLS, you can bring your project across, and you've now got it as a reference to look against next time.
So I'm going to make you repeat yourself there, just to be clear though. So again, much like we had with Magic, you can take the file straight out of here and straight into WinOLS.
Yes, and if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, we've got map addresses again.
Map addresses again. So that's, I mean, I really, really like that feature.
Yeah, it's not hiding anything. It's saying, look, we're open, we're honest. Here's the data. You can go and check and validate it yourself as well.
Yeah, very nice. As we go through, of course, any questions you've got on Swifttech, we'll try and do our best to help. Actually, we've just had one come in. Gavin, question master, what do we have?
This is Ivan from Argentina.
Hi, Ivan.
What about checksum verification? WinOLS makes you pay for each checksum calculator, as far as he's aware.
Yeah.
What about the services showcased today? Do they do the checksum verification and correction? Do they charge extra if they offer such functionality?
So do you have to pay for checksum calculations in both Magic, let's do Magic first, and Swifttech?
Yes and no. For a really, really helpful
That's
answer.
such a helpful
I know.
answer.
StageX doesn't do checksums in the software itself. That's done by the tool.
Right.
So you've got the ability to turn off the checksum correction on the particular tool,
Yeah.
or activate it on that particular protocol.
So you'll be using that in combination with the Magic Motorsport Flex tool, for
Yeah.
example. You wouldn't have to worry about it in the software because the
Yeah.
tool is there. What if you're writing the file, though, and it's come from, dare I say, another piece of not so good quality tuning tool, and you've got that file in StageX? Can you correct the checksum if you want to?
Checksum functions aren't an option in there.
Right.
It's something you're going to be looking then at WinOLS, or you're going to be looking at the Swifttech.
Swifttech does it?
Swifttech does it, and this is
second
why it
piece
was
of
a yes
software?
and no answer.
Okay. First one,
no
no.
for one software.
Moving into Swifttech?
Yes, it is in here. It's not a case-by-case basis that you're paying for each ECU type on there. It depends on the package or the license, if you like, the subscription. So different subscription
Sure.
levels with Swifttech include different features and functions on there.
Yeah, the Swifttech pricing is a little bit complicated, and they've jiggled it around quite a lot, but basically there's medium and more advanced packages. The more, frankly, you spend, the more advanced your package, the more features it has. So I'm guessing on one of the higher packages you start to get.
Yeah.
And once you've got that package, it's completely free to do.
Yeah, once you've got it, it's in there, you've got access to it, you just run the
And would
corrections.
that generally be for virtually all ECUs that are covered?
It's a huge range of ECUs, yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
extensive.
I don't like the yes and the no answer, but on this occasion Simon was right. There is probably no for Magic, much more likely a yes with the right package on Swifttech.
And of course, just to answer, because I think you said there was a comment about WinOLS, the WinOLS checksums are not always the clearest to interpret if you're new to tuning,
Right.
but you'll often find when you look at one, it's a checksum plugin that covers quite a large range. So something like an EDC 17 Bosch checksum plugin isn't going to be specific to just this BMW ECU. It's going to be that Bosch EDC 17 family.
So you buy a solution for a family of ECUs that can actually cover quite a lot of vehicles.
Quite a large range.
And once you've bought that in EVC, you've got it forever.
Yeah.
And it's not a yearly license or anything like that.
No.
You've got it, okay. So, okay, that's interesting. So it can be, I guess, fairly cost effective, but for someone that's tuning not a lot of vehicles, but a wide range of vehicles, I guess that could get quite expensive.
Yeah, but again, it's something that was very prevalent many, many years ago, 10, 15 years ago, because most of the tuning tools didn't have automatic checksum correction for every vehicle.
Yes, I remember those days.
But nowadays, it's more like, oh, it doesn't have checksum correction. It's more of an oddity. It's the exception to the rule rather than the rule.
I think the thing with checksum correction that always boggled my mind is it lets the vehicle start.
Yeah, once.
I've tuned a vehicle once, and we were in Birmingham, and the guy drove down to a cross-channel ferry, turned the car off on the ferry, got to France, the blasted thing wouldn't start. It was the most expensive goddamn checksum correction I've ever done, to send a guy over to France to get the damn car started the next day. Fortunately, I think those days are pretty done now.
So I've clicked on DTCs here. Just going to move on to the next section. I'm going to press OK just to show the DTC function. And again, with all these pieces of software, there's a disclaimer. It needs you to read through and agree to use these functions.
So this is basically saying you've got to agree that you use it. You understand the law, and you're using it either in a country where it's not applicable or it's for motorsport.
Yeah. So that's now looking through the file for the DTCs. Now this doesn't show us a whole table of DTCs that we can go, oh, I fancy that one, tick the box, tick. It's asking you to put the list of DTCs in that you need. So
right, okay. So you've not got to pick a mixed menu. You've got to place an order.
Yes. So StageX has a similar. You can type in the codes, but you can also scroll through and go, I recognise this is an EGR code. Just because one's on the vehicle, if you're disabling the EGR, you want to get rid of all the EGR related codes in there. Because the next thing is they drive to the coast, get on a ferry, get into France. Oh, and a fault code appears. So you can see in here we've got hexadecimal codes, which is your typical P codes. Yeah. But something that's quite interesting in here is it breaks the codes down into some almost like subsections, if you like. We've got C codes for communication. We've got P code, which is a hexadecimal code, but it gives you some examples at the bottom of the screen. And we've also got U codes again. So our C and U codes are something that you can come across on certain vehicles. When you delete one type of code, it could trigger then a C communication code or U code as well. So basically saying, I'm not talking to something properly. There is a specific way that these are handled If you're doing them manually, you have to actually change the U to a number or a character, whereas in the Swiftech software, you just put that U010, whatever it may be, in, and it will automatically make the changes it needs to convert it into the actual fault code itself. Okay. So basically, there's a bit of a mask, if you like. There's a conversion
it's quite
there.
Interesting, that.
Something I want to point out, and this is a really, really cool feature with Swifttech that you don't see on any of the mainstream pieces of software that offer anything with DTC.
I guess that's what people watching is really want to, what is this software really unique for? Why do I need it? What have you got for us?
If I click heavy duty vehicles, I can put in what's called SPN codes. So the SPN codes are specific to your heavy goods vehicles.
Right.
They're often, as you can see on the screen here, up to 6 decimal values. Okay. So you're not going to find a P code that then got 6 digits after it. And trying to convert those back into what we call factory codes can be actually really quite complicated. Now the codes in the ECU aren't really in there as SPN codes. They're what's called hexadecimal, a bit like our P code. Yeah. So a P code we might have 045F letters and numbers. Yeah. The SPN could be here on the screen 523632. We don't know what the hex of that is. No. There are various calculators you can get online, and in dark areas of forums, someone's made a little lookup table going, hey, try this. But the software does it for you. So you can just put your SPN code in, and it will go, okay, I'll convert it to the hex, I'll go and find it, and then remove it out of the system for you.
That I've never seen before in any software.
No, this is the only one that I've come across of a mainstream piece of software with support behind it that has something like SPN built into it.
Very nice. Okay.
Really, really cool piece of software. And again, I'm not going to type them all out, but we can put 2002 and then 2003 for your various codes. Just comma separate them, and you can put your various codes in there and delete them in one block. So again, if you've got that table of codes, these are all the EGR codes I've collected over the years for vehicles, put all those in there, and again it will only remove the codes that exist in that particular ECU.
Very nice. I've got to give us a time check at this point. We're getting a little tight for time towards the end of the session. If you've got any questions, please do get them in. And the other thing I'm going to want from you is, what do you want us to cover in the next session? So what do you want us to cover? We normally do this around the sort of middle of the second week of a month, so around sort of 10th or so of September. We'll confirm the dates, but what do you want in the September session? While people are thinking about that, Simon, anything else we need to know about?
So I mentioned it before about how you can check the options that are available. Yeah. Again, it's at the checkout, but at the checkout they have a lovely menu for you, so you can go through and not only see the options that are available, but this is really, really sort of game changing for Swiftech software versus the other ones that are out there. I click on that option, it takes me to the Swiftech site. I can then choose any of the available modules. So we will pick, let's pick something on this one, DPF. I click DPF, it not only tells me the vehicle manufacturer and the ECUs that are supported, but it tells me if I need to disconnect anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You've ever been out there, you've put a file on a car, and then a day later something comes back on and there's a light on and so on and so forth. Oh, you didn't disconnect the sensor that needed disconnecting. Now, in an ideal world, everything would just be software based.
Of course.
It'd just be put a map on.
Well, it isn't always that way, is it?
No. And that's down to ultimately the limitations of the ECU structure we're working with in many cases. There's only so much that can be done to take that function out of the ECU when so many subsystems are reliant on it.
Sometimes you need to do physical.
Yeah. So it might be, for example, an EGT sensor needs to be disconnected, a DPF pressure and temperature sensor needs to be disconnected, because the solution on the file is to say you're at 1 bar pressure difference between the two sensors. Yeah. So the DPF thinks it's absolutely clear, no pressure in there at all, no soot has built up, and the temperature is locked at a certain value that prevents it going into a regeneration. Of course, if the sensors are plugged in, then of course it's giving different values, and the EC goes, hang on a minute, you've told me everything's okay, but this value is going up and down, and it can create another regeneration. Right. You've probably come across that where you've seen that on a vehicle, you've got a file in from someone on a forum's gone, hey, I can do that for you, sent you a file, put it on the car, no lights are coming on, you've taken the DPF out of the vehicle, but it's still going into regen mode. It's because sometimes sensors haven't been disconnected, or even the solution itself isn't right in the first place. Right. But it's a very powerful thing inside of here that tells you not only what's available, but actually any follow-up work that you need to do as well. Another key thing on here, and it's something that's often overlooked, some ECUs cannot have the removals carried out via a traditional OBD read. you need to take a bench or boot read to access the full micro or flash file, because there may be additional data in there that you can't access via OBD.
And the software will tell us that?
Again, it tells you on there on the list.
That is really, really
bench
useful.
boot read required or MPC read required, etc.
Nice. Anything else we need to cover? We are running slightly light on time now.
No, I mean that's covered most of the things on here. As I said, I could probably talk for the next 7 months solid on all the functions and features of going through it, but that's where our courses come in and we take you through, as I said, from various user levels.
As always, we've got a dedicated helpline here, sales and support. So there's 3 people that offer tool, software, sales and training. If you're looking to buy software, it's not a case of you've got to buy it to get access to our training. You can call us up, you can ask for advice. We've got a dedicated team here just to do that. And if you want to learn more about this software, there are actually training courses online too at Remap 101. But don't feel this is a sales pitch. Genuinely, honestly, if you want to just drop us in an email with any questions, the team here will be very, very happy to help.
Yeah.
Gavin, Question Master, is flagging a question that's just come in. Gavin, what have we got?
This is from Jamie. He says, putting function delete aside, which one would you typically default to, the basic stage 1 map editing, and why? Mainly in terms of use, pricing and other factors. For instance, I found Swiftech excellent for deletes, but tricky for copying and pasting data between maps and custom Excel calculators.
I'm going to give my amateur answer on this, and then I'm going to let Simon correct me. I'm a bit old school. I always still like Alien Tech ECM. It's really nice and easy to use, but the newer versions, I think it's improved a lot. It's not great for the DTCs, I know, and some of the extra functions that we particularly covered today.
Yep.
But for actual map writing, I just think it's really nice. Now you can tell me what what your version is.
No, I think you're actually spot on there. We have an agreement on that one.
That's unusual.
Traditionally, what you're looking at is really sort of ECM is, and to say it's the starter software sort of makes it sound like it's not as capable. It's that first piece of software that is for most people to go to. It holds your hand a lot of the way through the process with the drivers that are there. When you're ready to sort of venture further and start doing some DTCs as well and some sort of more in-depth tuning, maybe touching upon stage 2, StageX.
Yeah, Magic
StageX.
Yeah, I think even if as a basic, fairly new to tuning, if you know DTCs are going to be important to you in removing functions, I guess it's probably got to be Magic.
Yeah.
If you're taking your first steps into map writing and you want a nice, easy software that you can pick up very quickly and easily, it's
ECM Titanium paired with a KES, and it's probably the cheapest way into the market as well, with really sort of rounded support and a huge.
That's what I'm glad you agree. And then use that for a year, get frustrated with some of the limitations, jump to WinOLS.
Yeah.
And then, as we've seen in the last couple of sessions, it's not like you put your ECM in the bin, far from it. They work perfectly in harmony.
Yeah, they support each other.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
So Magic or ECM is probably a really, really good place to start. When I say Magic, I'm talking about the Magic StageX software, and then grow into Windows with a little bit more practice and time.
And that's probably one of the things to touch upon there. We've seen obviously the map packs found in Swifttech. StageX and ECM have those map packs for gasoline in many cases. A lot of times in Swifttech, you have to buy a map pack. It's not automatically detected for the gasoline vehicles.
Right. Okay.
Stronger for diesel than it is gasoline. But really, the biggest strength of Swifttech is the functions and removals and DTCs, whereas StageX combines both, and of course ECM has been that sort of first starter tool on there.
We did talk about the next session in September. One of our thoughts are we can even now go and start diving into the tools in a bit more depth, so we can look specifically at the KES 3, for example, the features and functions of the tool, and then move on to the auto tuner as a comparison, and again see the features and functions. Or if you find it more interesting, we can start getting a bit deeper into map writing. So we've got a file that we've loaded up today for diesel, for example. We can take you through a stage 1 map writing exercise in each of the software. So there's our initial thoughts on what we think we should be doing next, but we are open to your suggestions. Please email them in, or give us a call, or get in contact with us in a number of different ways. You can find us at info@viezu.com. The contact details will be on this post when it goes live. Gavin, Question Master, is raising his hand one more time.
I've got a couple from Ivan in Argentina again. What are your expectations in terms of timing and dates on a new training course on using ECM Titanium 3.0? Any rough estimations?
Now, the golden question here is, Ivan, I'm guessing you want online rather than in-house. In-house, we run these courses in the UK every month. We would love to see you, and we tend to run a 3 days gasoline course, or a 3 days diesel, or if you want to keep your flights to a minimum, you can do a 5-day combined, and we'd absolutely love to see you here. But I appreciate it's quite a journey, and it's quite a journey for a lot of our customers. So we do have online training too. Simon, this came up in one of our very early webcasts. I'm going to say, can't remember what it was, sort of May time, I think.
Yeah.
I hear there's news. Where are we with our ECM courses?
Our ECM courses have gone live and are continuing to go live throughout this month.
Okay.
ECM Titanium, so Alien Tech ECM Titanium 3.0, our diesel tuning online course. First 3 modules are already available now for you on remap101.co.uk. Check them out. They're in depth. There's a lot of knowledge and information on there, taking you from the very first steps of starting your new project inside of ECM Titanium through to completing a stage 1 performance tune using a safe, smart methodology, not just giving you numbers to input into an ECU, which I've seen on a lot of things online. Just put this here and put that there.
Move this up 10%, and you don't know why or...
That's the important thing. We actually show you why we're making those changes, and we're teaching you how to understand how you can find the limitations and the potential inside the ECU through that course. So we're teaching you.
My sales pitch, I'm going to say, by the way, these courses are not expensive. There's a lot of knowledge crammed in there, and each module is £75, and that's for an hour's worth of training, and you can watch them as many times as you like. So they're not expensive, and you haven't got to just watch it once and it's gone. You can watch it again and again to make sure you really do cement that knowledge in. So much knowledge is packed in that 1 hour. Dip into one, take one. I think you'll like them very much. And the brand new ones are now live, and
brand new ones are live, and gasoline is following
within weeks.
Yes,
within weeks. Hope that's good news to you, Ivan. Any other questions before we wrap up, Gavin?
Well, there was another one from Ivan. It was quite a long one. It was a sort of opinion piece. Now.
If you can't hear on the webinar, Gavin is looking at the question now and reading back through it to give it to us.
It was a long question, right. There is an opinion that your online AI-powered services like StageX are not reliable, and it is a better option to find a decent specialised tuning service like StageX or Swiftech. Sometimes Maccas explicitly state that they are not using ECM Titanium, Swiftech or StageX. And they clearly state that as an advantage and a selling point. What is your view on that?
I could keep my eyes, but I'm going to just let you go. What do you reckon to that one? Do we need to just need to cover the question a little bit?
I'll just go back over it. So basically, I think it was a sort of opinion sort of question on there from the internet from Ivan about a lot of people saying, well, we don't use ECM and we don't use StageX and
we only
Swift
use WinOLS.
Yeah, and that's an advantage. We've just seen through these examples that we've just shown today and in our previous webinar, the map data is the map data.
And it's actually almost the map data in all of these softwares. It's the same table.
Your torque limit is your torque limiter, your boost is your boost, and your DTC is your DTC, no matter what software you're looking at it in and making those changes in. There is a valid comment in there about some generic online AI pieces of software that have appeared overnight that promise the world, and you look at it and it actually only gives you the option for one DTC to be removed.
I wouldn't mix those up with writing a proper map in any of the software we've covered in the last 2 sessions. Quite different to just pushing a button on an online platform and hoping it's done the job. Quite different from putting the file in Swifttech, for example, and taking out a DTC, or writing a map in Magic Motorsport. There's nothing wrong with your map in Magic Motorsport versus a map written in WinOLS. Unless you're getting into really quite heavily modified vehicles, the Magic Motorsport might start to run out of some of those maps. But as Simon has already said, if you haven't got the map in there, they will amend the driver for you. I think some of these softwares used to be really quite basic. And I'm talking about ECM, 10 years ago or so. And it was quite limited what you could do. But those days are gone now. It's just not the same, is it?
Massively, yeah. And it's take an example, a speed limiter. So a speed limiter changed in ECM is no different to one changed in WinOLS. There's a certain amount of marketing, shall we say, that people want to put behind it, that I only tune in WinOLS because it's the best.
And it is harder to use, and you are probably a more experienced tuner if you have mastered WinOLS. But it doesn't mean your stage 1 file is any better than anyone else's stage 1 file.
We've heard it a lot, and we've seen this on some of the training courses I've delivered. People have shown example files that they've bought in from places that have been only tuned in WinOLS, and when you've been doing this for long enough, you can see the sort of the pattern, if you like, of where that map was actually modified because of how the changes were made, and you can tell which software has really been used for it.
So really, actually, it's the quality of the map writer that matters, not
That's
the software.
the thing, yes.
Okay, Ivan, again, I hope
It's the
that
tuner,
answered.
not the tuning tools.
Right, we have just gone past the hour. I hope you found that session, interesting. If we've run out of time for your question, please do email them in. I'll repeat the email just one more time. It's info@viezu.com. The contact details will be on our website tomorrow, along with this podcast. It'll also be on YouTube that you can dial into and watch this whole session again. And of course, you can ask your questions on YouTube too. So if you've got ideas for our next session, please send them in. We'd love to hear from you. These sessions are not about us. They are really genuinely about us trying to pass on some knowledge, and what you need to know is important for us, so we can try and hone and shape these sessions for your benefit. Other than that, anything else from you, Simon, today?
Nothing else from me. Just want to thank everyone for joining and watching. Great questions as well. Please keep them coming. The engagement from everyone watching helps really make these sessions really enjoyable to put on.
Very nice. Well, as always, keep tuned, and we hope to see you for the September session. Bye, guys.
Bye.